Welcome back, folks. Before we go on, I just want to check on some sports stats, keep myself sharp here on the sports, and I'll use my computer and just go in here, and I'm going to check, okay.
Welcome back to Too Much Dip. My name is Dave. I'll be hosting today. Special episode, live from DeSoto, Texas. We got KJ.
In the building.
In
Inclement weather, unparalleled times. All I could ask for is to be here, and I'm here. So I thank you for that.
Live from your domicile.
Oh, yeah. The upper room.
Dylan and Micah are here.
Oh, Mike, I'll let you go first.
You don't have to make yourself last, Dylan.
It's okay.
It's great to be here. It's great to be in the stew. It's great to see KJ on the monitor behind us and in front of us. And I'm not doing Cole Campbell bits anymore.
Why?
That's 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Are you canceling Cole Campbell?
I couldn't do it when you were gone last week, and I just didn't feel like bringing it back now that you're here. He's gone off that booming loud, but other than that, he's been a little quiet of
He and I
late.
both.
Did you see yesterday he had 7 cups of Boomin' Loud?
He did. It was too much.
He was sizzled off of it, which is it's too much Boomin' Loud if you ask me. You can overdo it. That's too much caffeine. Too much sizzle,
It's
man.
just unnecessary. I mean, I
agree.
don't know what Cole was doing, but that seems like too much caffeine for, making YouTube videos in your house.
It can't be good for the old ticker,
Micah, I'm going to gas you up.
Please.
At this moment in time, with your level of shadow, your scruff, and your hair, you look good. Look optimized Micah.
Thank you. I feel tougher than usual.
It's a good-looking amount of beard on you.
Oh, I appreciate that. My fiance hates it.
Okay.
She finds it to be scratchy and gross, but it's kind of even. I'm surprised by how decent I look right now.
Does she
so
prefer
thank
a
you.
clean shave or full beard, Micah?
She prefers both over what I currently am at.
Right.
But
Okay.
I think she likes the clean-shaven look.
KJ, can you tell?
I cannot see the scruff. Okay, there we go. It's a good look. Micah's a good-looking guy. It doesn't take much. I'm not going to caption this with,
Wow.
the lighting is right, the time of day is right, the bags under his eyes are good. Like, Micah's just,
Sober
above
January
average,
looks great on me. Am I right? One other thing I want to do before we get started, I want to shout out whoever it was in the comments on the Thursday live stream, which we're about to talk about, which we'll be doing again this week, but who asked me about my skincare routine. It was a really nice thing to ask. I never really answered it, but
Oh, they followed up.
oh, they did.
They said they wanted to know so they could do the exact opposite.
Okay. Well, then I won't give them the pleasure. But I took that as a nice compliment, and the answer is a lot of serum that I steal from my fiance.
You have a pretty decent skin.
It's better. I've finally figured it out. But we'll talk about skincare later. Maybe on an episode of Mind of Micah. Available now. Guess who I had on Mind of Micah today?
Cole Campbell?
John Duda. You guys
What?
remember John Duda?
Johnny D.
John Duda just launched a newsletter similar to Micah's Read of the Week, the
I
newsletter.
subscribe to both of
Competing
them.
newsletters.
It's not a competition, but I wanted to gas him up.
Only
And
room
he-
for one in my inbox, so we'll see who gets my business in the long run.
Well, one arrives on Monday. That's my newsletter. The other one arrives Saturday, and perhaps other times, according to Duda. It was a great conversation. It's great to talk to John. We hung up. We did 20 minutes, and then we just talked for like another 30 minutes. It was amazing. I miss that guy.
How was y'all's snow day?
Got some good snaps of the dog in the snow. Other than that,
Just fine.
just fine.
Well, some breaking news from Brett, who usually saves that for circling back, but he's gonna text us in when it's important. Doug Peterson is out
Whoa.
in Philly.
Oh,
We got to have a sounder
Okay.
for that.
Peterson is out.
Wow.
wow.
Damn.
Thank you.
That's appropriate. Okay.
Okay, let's hold off. Let's do some bullet points here we got to get to, and then we'll just hop right into the NFL, the National Football League. Follow Too Much Dip on Twitter. That's Dip with 2 P's. Too Much Dip, 2 P's on Twitter. Too Much Dip Podcast on Instagram. Check us out. Subscribe, leave a review. We do the live stream, as Micah alluded to earlier, every Thursday. And, we'll be talking Tiger Doc next Monday. Going to give us all a chance to watch it. Maybe watch it twice. Just let it sink in.
I'm definitely not watching it tonight, seeing
No.
as how we have a national championship game and we have an episode of The Bachelor. So
I mean, I
I
don't
got
even
6
wanna-
hours blocked off straight.
I don't want
tonight.
to think about that. I'm very upset with what ABC's chosen to do.
I'm a little peeved. A little
Why would
moody.
they compete with themselves? Because the game's on ESPN. They own that network.
They do.
Can't they move Bachelor to Tuesday?
It's the
Disney
worldwide
family.
leader.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
It's
seems
the
like a
last
no-brainer.
Monday game of football until September. Like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard to just shift to Tuesday. It's very, very aggravating.
God, I'm kind of dreading it. Even though this is like the most excited I've been for a Natty in a while.
I'll be up till midnight just watching TV because I have to.
I'm gonna get up early for Bachelor. I can't do Bachelor after that. I'm gonna be too geeked out on this football game, which I think is gonna be very fun.
And on the Booming Loud.
And on the Booming Loud. I can't drink
Hop on the
anything else.
Stairmaster, knock the game out.
Yeah. I'm doing
drag.
sober weeknight January. Fuck.
Fucking A.
We'll see.
This could be the biggest challenge to your your mission.
My soberness,
Yes.
my weeknight soberness. I've been doing hot cocoa. It doesn't do the same.
Wow.
Doesn't do this.
I've been drinking a lot of hot tea.
That's good. Less
I've
sugar.
tried the tea thing. I can't get on board. It doesn't hit
Tea
the
sucks.
same. It
Tea
doesn't hit
sucks.
the
I'll
same.
say it. Everybody's thinking it.
I mean, I can't argue. I do not enjoy it.
I want to be shaky after I enjoy my morning beverage. You know, I want to.
Oh, well, I was just talking about hot tea at night.
Oh, okay.
I have switched. There was a time where I switched from coffee to green tea, but you have to drink so much green tea to get as much caffeine as you do in
Yeah.
coffee. You just pee every 10
I
minutes.
want to be sizzled, basically.
You have to drink a hell of a lot of green tea to get sizzled.
I'm trying to get absolutely twisted off this hot cocoa.
Right.
tonight.
Try an authentic matcha one time. Damn. It's not
Yeah.
for me. The only tea I consume needs to have 99 cents and be in a can and be from the state of Arizona.
The only
It's,
tea
it's the only thing I
I
can do.
drink is Twisted. I think someone already made a reference to that, but
Damn.
Yeah.
They're having a moment.
they really are. Speaking of tonight's slate of television, you talk Natty. Well, the stage is set. Bama, of course, beat the shit out of Notre Dame. Ohio State beat Clemson pretty handily. Clearly the two best teams in the country, even though a lot of controversy about Ohio State with the, 5 wins going into the playoff or whatever the bowl season.
I guess you didn't watch the Aggies then. I'm kidding.
Let's not talk about
I
the
just wanted to
Aggies,
give
Dave.
them a little bit of some love there.
Yep, games tonight. It's in Miami. Bama minus 8.5. How are we feeling about the game? KJ, what do you think about the game?
I will own the fact that I said Ohio State didn't belong in the playoffs. I still believe that.
Really?
I think throughout that entire position, I said that they were one of the top 4 teams in the nation. That was clear, but they deserve to give themselves more opportunities to lose. They probably would have won those games. Going into tonight, there's going to be a lot of discussion, I think, rightfully so, about Justin Fields, about Devontae Smith. Obviously, we've got 2 top Heisman candidates there, and Devontae Smith winning it. I'm interested to see what Trey Sermon does, running back transfer out of Oklahoma, and then what Najee Harris do between the two of them. And I think a lot of people are going to be underwhelmed with the passing outcomes in this game. And I think we're going to get a lot of short hitch routes and screens and stuff to Devontae Harris, and you're going to see a lot of running the football. But it'll be close and entertaining in that way.
I can't get past the fact that Ohio State gave up like 500 yards to Indiana. And I'm
Without their stud quarterback.
right. So I'm like, okay, well, what is
Or with their star I'm sorry. I was wrong.
what's a well-tuned Alabama offense going to do to Ohio State?
Ohio State just beat Clemson by how much? 10 or so? What was the final for that game?
24-ish, I think it was. The final was like 45, 28 or somewhere in that range.
Okay. We all thought Clemson was definitely one of the what happened there on the screen. Anyway, we all thought Clemson was they might still be one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country. This line surprises me. 8.5 is a lot of points. I know Bama looks very, very tough, and they played basically twice the number of games as Ohio State. Ohio State looks really tough too. I think Ohio State covers fairly easily in this one, actually.
Can I say something? And it goes back to what KJ's original take on why Ohio State shouldn't be in the playoff. How much of an advantage is it to only have played 6 games? I guess now it's 7.
Health-wise?
Yeah, like attrition is a big part of football, right? You see it in the pros, high school, college. Like that's a thing. People get injured. They linger on into the playoffs. Like, having only played 6 games going in like that, that would be my best argument for keeping them out. Obviously, they have the talent to be there, but that's one thing I can't get past.
Well, I think that if Oklahoma wins tonight, or if Alabama wins tonight, geez, the sober January's got me twisted. If Alabama wins tonight, there will be people that say that a team that's played 13 games or however many they've played is going to be better than a team with 7 games because they've had more time to practice and more times to, get reps and all that stuff.
That's fair.
So I think, but that's what people are going to say after the fact.
Maybe
I don't know. I
evens
wouldn't
it
say
out.
that going in. But
I don't know that anybody says that if Alabama wins. They just say Saban. They say Alabama's good. They just talk about all the same shit we've heard about Devontae Harris, or Devontae Smith, all the stuff that we've talked about Bama. They're not going to talk about the number of games like having anything to do with it. But if Ohio State does, that's where the narrative will go.
Yeah. Speaking of getting healthy, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver at Alabama, apparently has started practicing this week. He's been able to practice to some degree, says Nick Saban. That dude is the best receiver they have. And one of their
Better than their
receivers
Heisman-winning
won the
wide receiver?
Heisman. Yes.
Okay.
Waddle is a
I-
monster. And if he's actually healthy,
How
which
long
who
has he
knows?
been out?
Since the second or third game. He's been out a long time. Since he fractured an ankle against Tennessee October 24th. Missed the last 7 games.
Wow.
This would be a TOS comeback.
It would be.
Oh, that was sick.
Yes.
The broken leg game.
Dude, say what you want about the player, but
Dude,
that was sick.
He slept in a hyperbaric chamber, Dave.
He literally lived in it
Yeah.
for like 6 weeks. Didn't
That was
leave it.
crazy.
He was quarantining.
Are you gonna wait? We can't let you just say that he's a better than Devontae. Are we sure about Devontae's like CD Lamb out there? And yeah, that's right. Compare
We
him
will
to CD.
see. And I'm not a draft Nick, but my understanding is I would not be surprised if Jalen Waddle is a higher first round draft pick than Devontae Smith.
Why? Because
That's the
Devontae's a
most
little guy?
ridiculous thing you've said all year.
Wow. KJ, give
Wow.
it to him, man. Tell him why he's wrong.
It's Waddle is tremendous. He has exceptional speed. He's an incredible wide receiver. I think the performance Devontae Smith's put out this year has been like they're comparing to like obviously the Crabtree year is like the only other year statistically we've seen on this level, but the amount of difficult catches, you're thinking back to the touchdown against LSU, the amount of contested plays against Auburn where he's turning like 2-yard hitches into just 60-yard touchdowns. He's proven that he can run any route, make any catch. Waddle's good. This isn't saying like Waddle's not great. He is a difference maker. He's not Tyreek Hill speed-wise, but the guy runs a 4.2. Devontae Smith does not look all of the 6'1" that he is, but I would say, they both could be first round, but Smith's going number 1. Actually, Smith will go number 2 because I think a lot of people forget about the fact that LSU had their number 1 wide receiver opt out of this season. He'll probably be the first wide receiver drafted, and then Devontae.
Good point. Forgot about him.
Damn.
Looking at Ohio State, I think their best storyline is Trey Sermon. Like just from like a neutral perspective, like played at OU, didn't get all the touches. Interestingly enough, if he had stuck around, this might have been a breakout year for him at OU because I can't remember the kid's name, but their running back got hurt, right?
The first 4 games, they had a running back, 1 or 2 running backs out for suspension. I can't
Right.
recall what the reason was, but that was a part of what contributed to their slow start. Sermon's had like 500 yards over the last 2 games they played between Northwestern and Clemson.
Yeah. So that's a cool story. I mean, a transfer that pans out, and then you've got anything on the ribs with Fields. Like, do we know? Has there been any kind of news on that? I know they're just going to shoot him up with whatever it is, the pain med, and he'll be good to go, and his internal organs will be fine, and won't have to ever talk about it again.
I think
flat
that's all
jacket.
that they've reported is that
And then, if they win the game, we'll hear plenty about those ribs. It'll be a legendary tale coming out of the state of Ohio.
The bloody rib game.
Yeah. If they lose, we'll never hear about it. But if they win, we'll hear. Well, maybe if we lose, we'll hear it as an excuse. I don't like the people of Ohio State. I'll just start by saying that. I don't like their fan base.
Come on.
I don't like their T-shirt fans.
Oh.
I don't like the state of Ohio,
You
particularly.
don't like the guy who wears the little like painted face?
No.
Like the
It's
bloated guy?
unnecessary to piss off a region of our listeners unnecessarily like that. You can just shit on the school and not the actual state of Ohio. If you want.
Well, the school itself is annoying,
Okay.
but the people who are
it the
most
jerseys?
annoying
They
are
wear
the
the
T-shirt
jerseys.
fans who wear jerseys in this case, and they aren't actually, Ohio State graduates or anything. They're- it's
you-
the people of Ohio
You
State.
can't judge a fan base by its worst fans. Or maybe you can.
What about
I
Big
wouldn't
Nut?
judge every fan base, but I will judge them.
You have a problem with T-shirt fans.
Yeah, and I have a bigger problem with Jersey fans,
Do you think that
of which they are in abundance.
how many people who stormed the Capitol were Ohio State fans is what I'm asking you, Micah.
Were you there?
I was not. Thank you for asking that.
Don't know your whereabouts last Wednesday.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, I don't know. Do y'all want to make picks? I hate picking this
think we
because
should.
I just want to enjoy it and not have to worry about I'm already probably going to come in last in this whole fucking deal, but
Are we even doing big boy stacks right now? Because if I had a big boy stack, I would put on Ohio State to cover.
Well, funny you ask. Let me give a quick update because we're whittling down to like 5 games left to pick on the year, maybe 6 with the Super Bowl. After this weekend's slate of NFL games, David has come from being distant in last to outperforming all of us on the week. We're now only separated by 3 points from first to last. David on the year has 90 points. I have 93. Dylan and Mike are tied at 91. We will break down how all that works. Basically 1 point per game, and then big boy stacks counts as a triple point pick. David, of course, hit his with the Ravens. The rest of ours missed. So things are tight. I think that's a great idea, Dylan. We will count the national title game as a default big boy stack for all.
that.
wow.
I love
Whoa.
that.
Damn.
I love that. Damn. Yeah, I'm all over Ohio State. I think it's going to be very close. I think they might even pull this one out in a close one. I feel very good about that team, despite the shortened season and a lot of people feeling they're undeserving of being there. I disagree. I think they absolutely deserve to be there because the reasoning behind it is just a weird year, pandemic. Who could have thought?
The Demi.
The Demi, man. It's not. Yeah, it's not their own doing. They didn't pick their schedule, so I feel good about it. Ohio State.
Okay. Micah,
8.5's a lot of points.
it's a lot of points. It's over a touchdown. Did you know that?
I do now.
It's a 2-possession pick.
Before I make my pick, I will say, one, to respond to KJ's earlier, according to CBSSports.com, a trusted source in the internet, not exactly, Devontae Smith is mocked to go to 6th, followed by Jalen Waddle at 7. That isn't the craziest thing I've ever said. That's all.
What about LSU guy? His name escapes me.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
He
Just
is.
call him LSU guy.
He is in this mock selected 5th. So 5, 6, 7 is where they have the top 3 receivers.
Wow, how about that?
So
KJ.
we're all right there.
Big brain on KJ.
Well done. Well done. I like Alabama tonight, and I don't. I know Ohio State is just as talented. I just think Alabama knows what they're doing in these games, although I know Ohio State's been in a bunch of them. I just trust Nick Saban, and I trust them. I trust Mac Jones not to make a mistake. He's played most of the season without them. But that being said, the reason I'm hesitant here, and I just think they're better. They're loaded. They've got a good scheme. They've got the best coach. They should win this game. The reason I'm hesitant is I can't remember a national champion who went undefeated and never played a close game. And if Alabama were to win this game by more than 8.5, they would be that position. I'm uncomfortable naming this Alabama team the best football team I've ever seen or the most dominant, but they're going to have a case if they do that again tonight.
I feel like the SEC championship was not. It was
That was
in
a little.
play.
It was in play in the fourth quarter. That's true. That might have been the only game all season
I
they
think it
were
was.
in any real jeopardy. But I
The
can't
point
remember a
was it
national
looks
champion
like
who
it.
went undefeated and never was tested. Normally, you win one close one or two.
The 51 Army team.
Well, it's been
don't
a
know.
minute. That being said, give me Bama. Give me 3 points. Let's go.
Wow.
That means there's a lot riding with Dylan and I tied for last place on this game tonight.
You're tied in the middle. Right in the middle.
Okay, tied in the middle,
Tied
though.
for second
This is
and
pretty
third.
much a
I
make or
really
break
just
pick
want to
for
beat
me.
Dylan, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're probably not going to. Meg, can we talk about the receivers coming out of LSU and Bama this most recent year and this year in the draft? Ruggs,
Jefferson.
Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, and then the three from this year. Holy shit. That is
That's
really fucking impressive.
What, 6, maybe 7 top or first round draft picks
Yeah.
at wide receiver between those two schools?
That's insane.
Let's say it. Ruggs was a reach.
He can scoot, though, man.
He could scoop, but he was a reach, I think.
He's
I mean,
the one
you
that
had
went
CD
to
Lamb on the board and you
Oklahoma.
took Ruggs.
He went before Jefferson, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Bad decision.
They like speed out there.
I will pick first to give David the opportunity to see the field.
Thank you.
So looking at this game again, I think it's going to come down to the running backs. I really hope that it's going to sound terrible. I want Justin Fields to do well, but not what he did in the first playoff game. I cannot go into draft season having reporter after reporter after reporter say, is this a Trevor or a Justin Fields first pick overall? I cannot allow that to be even a question. We need Trevor in Jacksonville. That has nothing to do with this game.
You're getting Trevor. Don't worry.
Everything about Alabama looks good. And I'm not an Alabama hater or basher or anything like that. The only thing I can see tripping them up, which is improbable, is the fact that Sarkisian's like maybe a foot out the door. It's never screwed them over in the past, but like that's the one thing that I can even nitpick narratively to rewrite the story. I'm going to go with Ohio State. 1, just to be on the opposite side of the fence of this game of Micah. And 2, Ohio State has got 2 top receivers out of out of Texas. One from Lake Travis, and then the other out of Rockwall with Jackson and Jigba. He only has 8 catches on the year. I think he's the game changer in this game tonight. So give me Ohio State. Give me Trey Sermon dominating the game, but give me the freshman receiver out of Rockwall making the play of the game. 8.5 points.
Okay. I can't get past the Indiana game and just how many yards they put up and just how their offense did whatever they wanted. Alabama's got a better offense than Indiana. That's a hot take. I'm gonna go with Bama covering 8.5. I'm riding with Saban. Last time these two played, when was that? 2014 national championship.
No idea.
Okay, well, either way, they don't have their same. The OC in that game was a guy you guys might know, Tom Herman. Tom Herman's not with Ohio State anymore. Give me advantage to.
He's unemployed.
He is unemployed. Did you know Charlie Strong's on staff at Alabama too?
Yes, he's an analyst there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot he lost the USF job.
Yeah.
Really.
He's on staff there, and apparently Sark talked to him about the Texas job. And he was pretty complimentary of Texas, which that's very big of Charlie because there's a lot of reasons why he didn't have to be.
Charlie Strong's a good
We
man.
recommended a headset for him.
Yeah.
That thing. What's the deal with that thing?
I think Texas fans are going to be pretty stoked to see what Sark dials up tonight. I look for them to go out, be on top big early, a valiant comeback in the fourth, make it close in the fourth quarter. But give me Bama. Parks just drew something real dope. And
He's
showed
in
it
art
to
class
us.
for now. He just did a goat.
It's a very
drew-
good
That's a
goat.
dope goat.
It was a picture of me.
He crushed it. Nah, it's an actual goat, David.
Oh, okay.
Bama it is.
Yeah, I'm riding with Bama. Sorry, I love Trey Sermon, though. This is a Trey Sermon podcast now. We're Team Trey.
KJ, back to your point about Sarkisian having one foot out the door already. This is not the first time that
True.
a coordinator on a Nick Saban team has, landed a gig before departing for with a big bowl game coming up. Saban's not going to let him.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't like of like the 6 national title games they've been in, if it hasn't been the majority of them where that's been the case.
It worked really
Smart,
well for
pretty
Lane.
sure.
The Lane train fired on the tarmac before the Natty.
Well, we'll see. We'll be dialed in. One question for you guys in general. How are you going to handle your Twitter feeds, given the fact that you're going to have Bachelor Twitter and National Title Twitter?
I mean, I'm going to watch the game live. Obviously, you got to record the Bachelor, but I mean, Twitter's still going to be popping with Bachelor talk because a lot of people don't care enough about the game.
I'm not going to try to avoid Bachelor spoilers.
No,
It's just
I'll be dialed in.
Is what it is. I'm not going to watch the Natty tomorrow morning. Like you
then
have to
what's
watch.
your-
You watch it in real time.
Yeah.
What's your MegaCast channel of choice? I don't know who we have from coaches on tonight and how they're going to handle that, but ESPN's doing their whole national title game on 6 channels again.
Is the Guys Being Dudes guy on there? I feel like he was a mainstay for the first couple years. The BC coach.
Just guys being dudes.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
I can see the Vine.
He's in
I
Colorado
just forget his name.
State now, I think.
No one's talking about it, but Matt Rule sneaky got an NFL gig from his coach, his film room appearance. He dominated that thing.
Booger McFarland sneaky got Jason Witten to go back to the NFL after doing the national title game together in that setting. Because Booger McFarland ordered in food to be delivered. And it was just spread across the table. And Booger showed up with like lunch meat and sandwich and bread and just was making sandwiches by himself and dirtied up the whole place. And that was the last time they worked together. But yeah, Gamecast tonight, Mega Gamecast, all 7 channels.
No slime cannon, though.
We'll
More on
get to
that later.
There's going to be an NFL Live crew, and there's also going to be a Homer's telecast. Oh, wait, no. One element that will not be included this year is the Homer's telecast. So,
Oh, that sucks. I do like tuning into that when they have like the Alabama radio call and then, whoever else happens to be playing Alabama call.
You guys
All
got
right.
any other thoughts on college football?
Let's stay on time.
Let's stay on time.
should be a good one.
Before we get into it, let's talk movement.
Let's go.
In a tiny apartment in Southern California, 2 college dropouts teamed up to create a watch company that broke all the rules. With fair prices, unexpected colors, and clean original designs, Movement, MVMT, grew into one of the fastest growing watch brands, shipping to over 160 countries across the globe. Now Movement has expanded into blue light glasses that protect your eyes from your screens, minimalist jewelry, and more style essentials that don't break the bank, all designed out of their California headquarters. How about that? I love the blue light blockers. That's something that's underrated. If you catch me at home on a weekend, a snow day or something, I've probably got them on because I'm staring at my screen a lot. You guys got a particular watch you like? Have you checked out the Grizzly Brown watch from the new Legacy Slim collection?
This has got such a dope name. I buy it just blindly without even looking at it first.
So let's say that sounds like Shaq and appropriate.
That would pair well with Shacket.
Yeah. A Shacket with the Grizz. Come on.
They've got an unbeatable price point. Movement watches have the look and quality of a $400 to $500 watch you're paying for at a department store, but it costs a fraction of that price because they were built online and own their process.
They
from
cut
start to
out the
finish.
damn middleman.
Hey,
Dave.
middleman, rest in peace. You've been cut out by Movement.
I just like how bold and like big face, bold, simple design is what I like. The Voyager Bronze Age, I have one of those. Very sick. Very cool.
Big face, big
OKJ's
brand.
flashing it.
Gunmetal green in the house.
Gunmetal
KJ.
green.
Keep that thing on me.
That's a
KJ
flex.
did it.
If you want to elevate your
I
look
gotta
with
add a
style,
link in because your boy's got big wrists, but Movement stays by me.
I've got the tiniest wrist. It's so sad. If you want to elevate your look with style that doesn't break the bank, then join the Movement and get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/bang. That's mvmt.com/bang. Join the Movement. Guys, I'm super wild hard for Super Wild Card Weekend still. Like, it hasn't gone away.
You're so proud of that title.
No, I'm not.
You're just going to keep running it back.
No, I'm not.
I reposted that to my Instagram story feed as I try to do usually. And I don't think I've gotten more responses in the DMs to that headline than I did this week. Both perplexed and intrigued. And I was happy about it.
It was
So
my
it got
Mona
the people
Lisa.
going.
I don't like to pat myself on the back, but it's my favorite thing that I've ever done in content. Oh, man. I'm still laughing about it.
Love it.
Can't stop saying it. But it was indeed
Well,
Super Wild.
Super
Card
Wild.
Weekend. Go ahead,
Yeah,
KJ.
Super Wild Card Weekend was this past week. That was the NFL's new name for the now 14-team playoff, where we had 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday for the first time ever. You getting 3 playoff games on each day. I think the NFL had a bunch of first-time evers, obviously due to the Demi, where they had a game on every single day of the week this year. After Christmas checked off the box for Friday, and the Steelers Ravens played on a Wednesday. So it was a pretty thick year as far as spreading the schedule out. But on Saturday, I can't recall how we define the Colts-Bills game going into it. I think this might have been one of those where we said it would have been the most electric game of the weekend. And I think that checks out. It was really the only one that stayed close. We'll get into what happened in Nashville a little bit after this. But the Colts-Bills felt like a close game from start to finish. But I never got to the point where I felt like the Bills might lose the game.
Agree.
Yeah, they were seemingly in control of the whole thing.
I agree, and I think the Bills are good. Been saying this for a while. This isn't some breaking news. They've won like 10 of their last 11 games. But Indy's got to be kicking themselves. They had a real chance to win the football game. And probably, I mean, I won't say should have, but like this is a tough one because they were right there and they really had a chance.
Indy did something against Buffalo that maybe the Cardinals had a couple quick drives like this where the Bills would put the game at a 2-possession game and make you feel like, all right, this is out of control. Indy would get the ball, go 10 plays in under 2 minutes or so and scored. And that happened 2 different times in the third and fourth quarter where you're like, you know what? This might just be the day for the Colts to fuck around and win one. And the Colts probably shot themselves in the foot by getting a little too cute with analytics late in the game. Or was it late in the game? Do you recall that play, Micah, what the score was when they decided to not go for 2? Or maybe they went for 2. I can't recall.
I don't. Saturday seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, there was a play basically late in the game where the Colts decided not to chase points, I think it was. And had they gone for 2, they could have easily cut it down to a 7-point game. Or something along those lines. And it turned around to bite them in the butt late in the game. They only lost by 3, so it didn't end it for them. And what was worse is they had the ball in position to score and win the game in the last drive, which is what you want. But the Bills stood tall. The Los Angeles Rams and Seattle Seahawks, the only game that I picked this week that I think I got right, it was an ugly game for my picks, but this one somehow is on top of it. The lack of a 12th man in Seattle made them look like absolute frauds.
That was a terrible game, aesthetically speaking.
Uniforms-wise or just flow of game-wise?
Just flow of game.
Yeah.
Like if you're just like a casual NFL viewer and that's the game you turn on, Wolf.
Speaking of Wolf,
What happened
Los
to
Angeles
Seattle?
quarterback Wolford.
Sorry to interrupt. Seattle just looks terrible, man.
Their defense has been bad all year. Ken Norton Jr., former Cowboy Niners great, is their D coordinator. And there was talk about him getting fired midway through the season. They added some parts by getting, I want to say it's Maben, added to their roster. They had a couple D linemen get added, and they tried to piece it together. They've got players. They've got KJ Wright. They've got what are the twins' names? But they still have the good one. The Griffith from UCF.
Yeah.
And they've still got a decent D-line, but they just played like shit all year. I don't know if it's that their defensive scheme is – and Jamal Adams added to their roster, obviously. I don't know if their scheme is just getting old and teams have figured it out, but they always put Russell Wilson in a position to have to throw the damn ball, and it's just too damn much.
The Seahawks did a lot of inexplicable things in this game, but most inexplicable is that Russell Wilson finishes 11 for 27. Like, that's just bad. Those are bad numbers. He had a pick. Yeah. They don't run they run the football when they can pass it. I just a lot of what they did was inexplicable. If you told me you're starting against John Wolford, you've got to win that football game. And if you talk about Jamal Adams, the Seahawks and the Rams are interesting because they both traded 2 first-round picks for a defensive player. The Seahawks took Jamal Adams, who had a bunch of sacks this year, but he's a little banged up. He's can't cover anybody. If he's out in coverage, he's bad. Meanwhile, Jalen Ramsey's running around for the Rams. He had an interception. He shuts down that side of the field. Like that was a striking difference to me.
Ramsey's legit. It's odd to see a player like that be so incredibly dominant right after they sign a $100 billion contract. But with Aaron Donald, who did leave the game early, it sounds like he's got some rib issues, but he'll probably play next week. When you've got that kind of defensive line up front and a cornerback like that, it's going to be hard to just walk around on a team like that. So Wolford was playing. What's up?
Oh, sorry, KJ. I just want to speak a little bit to the identity crisis of the Seattle offense, because if you remember when the Cowboys played them in the first opening round a couple years ago, Dak's rookie year. Was it Dak's rookie year? Yeah, and beat him. Everybody was talking about, oh, well, they ran the ball too much. They got to let Russ cook. And then, like, now that they're doing that, now Pete Carroll's already like, yeah, we should probably run the ball more. So it's just like, what are you? What is that team?
Tyler Lockett said that after the game too. We should run the football more. They only got like 50-something snaps. This was an impressive performance by the Rams. I mean, that's a team. These teams are division rivals, obviously, and I just don't think that Seattle knows how to attack. That LA's defense has got them confused. They know what they're doing over there with the Rams. They've got a coaching staff that does things. So I love watching 9/11 conspiracy theorist Pete Carroll lose. So I'll just say
Who is this Wolford guy
into
they
it.
dragged out there? It looked like someone's like little brother they just suited up for the game.
Well, apparently
The
he
Wolf.
has, quote, a stinger. So they expect he might be back, even though he was sent off on a cart, basically, in a stretcher.
Oh, that wasn't a concussion. It was just a neck.
No, yeah, they said it was a head injury during the game. It turned out to be a stinger.
Okay.
Stinger's hurt like a bitch. I've
Not
never
a-
had one.
By the way, that flag
sounds terrible.
That flag was
Yeah.
picked up, by the way, on that play. Just saying.
Yeah, for Wolford, Wake Forest, Demon Deacon. So you'll watch another one tonight if you watch The Bachelor. He's somebody played in the AAFL whenever that was around. So I won't say a nobody. Obviously, he's playing games. The reason he was even in was because Jared Goff broke his hand 3 weeks ago and has 3 pins in his hand.
Yeah.
And so he had to play with that going on. And Cam Akers, rookie, I almost said freshman, rookie running back out of Florida State, just looked every bit of the part. If the Rams can run the ball like they did, like that's a team that can challenge any NFC team, including the Packers, just because of how they'll control the game. Now, if they cannot produce anything on the ground, they're one of the worst teams. I'd probably say middle to lower part of the league when they don't run the ball well. Cooper Kupp got hurt late, but he did not tear anything. He'll be back. I think it's just a knee sprain as well.
What do we got to do to get Bortles out there?
He was out there for a year. He was on the NFL roster
Is he not on the Rams
or
roster?
an
anymore?
NFL Super Bowl roster, but not anymore.
So
Oh, that's too bad.
Bortles is hanging out in Denver.
Oh, okay.
The issue with having to clear people and put them on your rosters is really, I think it's going to screw some teams over late in these playoffs. Like, I don't want to jinx anything, but if you have one like positive COVID test type issue or someone goes on the reserve, like I'm surprised the NFL didn't let these teams like add 2 extra reserve quarterbacks after they saw what happened in Denver. Tampa, Washington football team.
Ooh. Wine 'em, dine 'em, 60 hine 'em.
this was a fun game to watch because of Heineke, man.
Dude, he hit him with the Hine.
That dude's a gamer.
Yeah.
Heineken man.
That dive for the pylon.
That was fun,
That was
man.
sick.
As a team who does not enjoy the Washington football team, or as a
No.
guy who doesn't enjoy the Washington football
Well-
team, they had me pulling
Well, you
for
knew
him.
some guy named Heineke wasn't going to beat Tom Brady, but it was fun. It was fun to watch that guy run around and make plays.
He was so hot, want to touch the Heine.
Yeah, we get it. He's got Heine in his name, Dave. We get it.
That's all I got.
Shouts to him. I hope that he signs a multi-million-dollar deal with someone because of this.
He's another like
And he probably will.
alternative football league guy, right?
Yeah, he was in the XFL. He was
Yeah.
a St. Louis Battlehawk. And
I
I
love
believe
these
like
stories.
was a backup for most of that season.
Yeah.
Although there is a gif of him, stone cold shotgunning a couple beers in the locker room.
Carolina had that dude that was on an XFL roster
Yeah,
for a
that
while
dude
too,
was
like
good.
the league MVP. That
Okay.
dude's good too,
Temple
man.
guy.
It's fun to watch these guys like get a shot and actually do something with it. You know, fun game.
Yeah, I will say for this Tampa, I feel like they're where everybody projected them to be at the beginning of the season. Like that team has clicked. Like it's going to be disappointing to see Tampa like in the Super Bowl with this like Frankenstein team of superstars from all over the place. But I don't see it going any other way right now. We're going to get Breeze Brady 3 next week, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But they weren't really playing poorly. Washington just controlled the third quarter, and their defense is legitimate. Like I'm worried for the NFC East if Washington figures out its quarterback situation, because they've got talent everywhere else on the field.
There's no reason with a dude like Matthew Stafford or someone of that equivalent who might go to Washington that they can't go from 7-9 to 10-6 and win that division by 2 games next year. Like they've got some pieces. Although to be fair, Tampa put up like 500 yards of offense and 31 points. So you would think that that Tampa defense is something that's been vaunted this season. Although the other thing that I've heard is that one of the hardest things to prepare for is a dude that's mobile with no tape. And that's essentially what Heine brought to the table. He was tapeless.
That's fair. That's a good point. Worst case scenario for the NFC East is if Dan Snyder gives up 3 first-round picks and goes after Deshaun.
Ooh, don't even say that out loud.
That would be a problem. That would be a major problem.
We're talking about Deshaun later, aren't we?
Are we?
We'll mention him in quick tips.
Better job right now. If you're Matt Stafford watching at home, would you rather quarterback be the future of the Colts franchise or the team from Washington's franchise?
I think it's the Washington football team. The NFC just isn't as strong as the AFC. And we'll get to some of those good teams in the AFC, but I think the Washington football team would have been, they almost beat the second best team in the NFC this week.
Very fair. Is Rivers done? As he said, he hasn't said, right?
Well, he said there's a lot to think about.
He's eligible, he's got a significant contract next season, I believe.
Okay.
Not as significant as Big Ben's, but we'll get to that too.
Yeah, I'll wait on Rivers, but we've got potential to lose 3 big names at the end of the season. So that was Saturday.
How about Sunday?
Yep.
Ooh, Sunday night.
Baltimore comes from 10 points down to beat Tennessee 20-13. It's the first time in 4 seasons the Ravens had come from a 10-point deficit. They got down 10-0, put up 17 in a row, which they said 25 times on the broadcast, but still important and still impressive that they would come back. We know that Lamar Jackson is electric, but he proved it.
I was happy to see him get a playoff win.
I was too. He really put the team on his back. It felt to me like he took it personally. It's like, I'm not going 0-3 in my first 3 playoff games. And just to do what he does with his feet, not just the 48-yard touchdown run, but to watch him in the fourth quarter when it was time to go into a 4-minute offense and run out the clock, the way he can get loose is we've never seen anything like it, really.
Was that the Monday night crew? Was that Levy and them?
Yes.
Did you find it weird that we're watching that game and they're talking about Lamar, who's 24?
Yes.
About how he's never won it. He's never won the big one in high school and in college and the NFL. It's like, dude, he is fucking 24. You gotta chill. I know he won the MVP, but give him some time. I was happy to see him get that dub.
Me too.
They were a little aggressive on that bullet point. You could tell at some point that they just kind of circled back to the same, we have these things down. And we're going to hit that he hasn't won a playoff game again. And we're going to hit that he hasn't won a playoff game again.
And they said that was the
10-point comeback one.
They said they were the only team in football who hadn't had a 10-point comeback the last 4 years.
That's not a big deficit. That's crazy. That hadn't happened in 4 years.
Yeah, just 2 scores. Pretty wild. Baltimore looks tough, though. That's not a team I want to play. I mean, I don't know how good they are, but that's a team that seems like they can beat anyone on a given day. They scare me in a way that some of these teams don't.
If their defense is healthy, with Calais Campbell and some of the other stars that they've got now, it's going to be tough to see who they can't slow down. We knew what Tennessee was. They were going to line up and hit you in the mouth, and they just couldn't get that done at home too. It did not make sense to me that the Titans looked as bad as they did. Everything I predicted about this game was completely incorrect. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that Tennessee just couldn't produce anything on the run game. I think at halftime, Derrick Henry might have had like 28 yards or like it was like 10 carries and like 18 or 28 yards. It was really, really bad. And he looked like him and what's their coach's name? Was it Vrabel? Not got into it, but Vrabel, I think, was trying to motivate Henry in a manner that he probably could motivate himself by like look like he was trying not really dog cuss, but getting in his face. And Derrick Henry did not look like the type that was like responsive to that approach. And it didn't bode well the rest of the game after that.
You want to move on to the GAC Bowl?
R.I.P. Bears.
How much fun was this game?
Did everybody watch the whole Nick broadcast?
100%.
Yes.
Okay.
I couldn't turn away. You had SpongeBob between the uprights. You had Lex Lumpkin on the sideline.
Lil Lumpkin.
He was saying what's good to Nate up in the booth. Like, it was fantastic. The graphics, they had googly eyes on guys on the sideline.
I got to say.
It was so stupid.
Lex Lumpkin's Obama impression was disrespectful.
It wasn't awesome.
It wasn't good. I expected more from a Nickelodeon personality. Like, that's probably what they've got. You'd think that somebody who's been on All That or whatever has got like bits, and that's one of them. No. And then they had the young lady in the booth who was doing like a Cardi B. It was disrespectful.
I don't want to pick on the young lady.
How old is she?
I think she was 15 is what they said.
15?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry for criticizing.
I'm about to criticize her.
If
So
she's 15, she crushed that.
So she did a very good job.
For a
I thought she
15-year-old?
did a nice job in the booth. She kept her, she was good. When she tried to do impressions, it wasn't good. It was painful.
Shout out to Nate Burleson for rolling with it.
Oh, Nate's the MVP.
Nate's a pro.
Nate might be the most impressive performance this entire weekend.
Oh, he really settled in. He was like, let's get this.
We're
doing
you
a
could tell he
Nick
was
show.
having fun.
The way they
Shouts to him.
shoehorned in all those like child references about just explaining the rules, which I thought was kind of cool. That explaining like the rules of the game and how the point system work and all that. Which is, if you're a child getting in the game, it is a complicated game. But they're like references about like going to school and like dad eating, digging into the dinner before mom says the blessing and stuff like that. It was funny.
I only heard the Taysom Hill comparison, basically saying he's the kid on the playground who can do everything well. And then all I could hear in my ears like David and Will talking about Dylan. I'm like, okay, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
But no, I saw a little bit of it when I was tuned into the other broadcast on CBS because I wanted to see how Nance and Romo would handle what we're going through today. I think that's why we actually did this is Romo was back in Dallas
In his
doing the
bag.
podcast remotely. And it was they did fine. Romo kind of got off the rails a little bit later on in the game, talking about kids spitting on him and slobbering all over him. It was a little bit weird, some of the verbiage he was using. They also tried to pull a Fox stunt that definitely did not work when they're not both on camera. And maybe they were. I guess I was listening to it at that moment where they were announcing that Romo was getting inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame. And Romo not being Troy Aikman, where Troy Aikman's like breaking down into tears hearing about it. We're hearing about like Jerry, or was Jimmy getting in whenever?
I think that
I
was
think
the
it was
one,
Jimmy.
yeah.
That's what, it was Jimmy getting in when Troy broke down in tears. Romo getting announced that he got in the College Football Hall of Fame. It's like, what, me, really? Oh yeah, I heard about this 2 days ago, guys. I appreciate it, and
He did not give a fuck.
Classic.
no, not at all.
Can we pull his college numbers? Is he worthy of the College Football Hall of Fame? Like, I know he was a good college quarterback, but come on.
You got to think that Garoppolo outdid both his and Sean Payton's stats.
He did. Garoppolo's like first in everything.
It's ridiculous. Sean Payton got slimed after the game. I haven't seen this video. I know you sent it, but I didn't watch.
Yeah, I think it was like back in the locker room area, and he was sitting on the floor because he made the promise before the game that if they'd won, he'd do it, and he paid his bet.
I was kind of bummed they didn't slime the MVP.
Yes, I wanted Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky.
I wanted Trubisky to get slimed after winning the MVP.
They should have brought him out because, I mean, it was a hard-fought game. They were right there till the very end.
Can you
I'm
imagine,
sorry, Randy.
Can you
I'm very
imagine
sorry.
having to get slimed after losing a game like that? Like,
I love that it's already like a part of his Wikipedia page under accomplishments, Nickelodeon MVP.
Okay, that's genius.
That is great. You gotta
KJ.
think that that at halftime, like it wasn't out of reach for Chicago early. It was like 10-8 at half or something, 10-7.
Crucial drop. I thought it was 10-3.
Yeah.
10-3. And then that tight end Mims dropped a touchdown that would have tied it. Yeah. And then the Saints showed up. Shout out to the cornerback from the Saints again. I forgot his name. Gardner Johnson, who did it again. Last game when the Bears and Saints played, Mims got kicked out for two-piece in Gardner Johnson. And Gardner Johnson got in another Bears wide receiver's ear this game and got pieced up again and got him kicked out. Like, how do the refs not know, like, hey, he's the guy?
You need a guy like that. Who's the dude who got into it with Andre Johnson on the Titans like a decade ago?
Portland Finnegan.
Yeah. You got to have one of those
I miss
guys.
that guy.
I miss him
troublemaker.
too. He was a rabble-rouser.
You guys want some Tony Romo college stats?
Yeah, kind of.
3-year starter, 63% completion percentage, 82 touchdowns, 34 interceptions for his career, and his quarterback rating 159.1.
Okay.
Which I don't know how high the college thing goes because it's a different standard, but that's quite good. Quite good.
That touchdown to interception ratio doesn't blow me away, I'll say that much.
And he did win the Walter Payton Award, which is basically the lower level Heisman.
Is there an award for working in lowbrow sexual innuendo into your broadcast? Because he wins the JTT, Just the Tip Award. Going back to that he did it twice. And he even
missed this. What did he say?
When they were showing that replay of Breeze on the keeper or on the sneak, putting it up and trying to get it over the goal line, he was saying just the tip is all you need to get it over. And like he knew what he was doing. And then he did it again, and he even got Nance to laugh. And Nance like made a reference to it. It was absurd. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It might be the best thing Romo's ever done.
Maybe Nate Burleson will take his job next year.
KJ, who is your NVQ? I don't know if you want to follow up on that, but
NVQ for the game yesterday has to go to. It's got to be Matt Nagy, no? Like, how do you just completely blow the entire second half? No, back up. It's Matt Nagy and it's Allen Robinson because he completely disappeared. He had no big catches in this game and got shut down. There you go.
I know Randy doesn't have a microphone here, and I'm not going to ask him to get on the microphone. I'm not even going to look at him. I'm facing the other direction. But for Randy and every Bears fan in the world, you've seen this movie like 100 times. This is just what the Bears do. They have no offense. They have no quarterback. They've had no quarterback in their history. Their defense plays great in the first half. They hold the Saints to 10 points. They're in the game. And then you can't just ask your defense to do everything. And eventually they broke, and a scary Saints offense looked pretty good in the second half. They could have scored another touchdown. The Bears, of course, scored on the last play to make this thing a little bit closer and almost cover.
Shout out Jimmy Graham.
But like this is – and a reminder, the Bears went 3-8 their last 11 games, including their 3 wins came to Jacksonville, the Texans, and the Vikings. The Bears suck. They should. If I'm a Bears fan, I want to just blow the whole thing up. It's terrible.
Randy's not really reacting in any way. He just
that's what apathy looks like, I think. Yeah. He's lost it.
Randy sadly says that's his whole life.
Poor Randy.
I feel bad for
It would have
you,
been nice
Randy.
to see Kyler in this game instead, but we didn't get it.
It's not much better over here, so.
At least we've had some quarterback play in the last 50 years.
That's true.
I'm sorry. Shouts to the Bears fans out there. They're not bad people like the Ohio State fans. It's just tough for them, and I feel bad. I literally feel for them.
Did Philly really put a statue of Doug Peterson up outside the stadium after the Super Bowl?
With him and Nick Foles, right?
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now, a picture of it.
Standing there calling the play. They put a statue up before they ran the Philly special or whatever.
Did anything happen last night?
There was a football game.
Was there?
Cleveland
Yeah, there's one more.
Pittsburgh.
Cleveland.
Yikes.
Destroyed.
Cleveland wins their first road playoff game since 1966. And, of course, their first playoff game in I don't know how many years. The Browns is the Browns. And they jumped up, what? Was it? It was 21-0. It might have been 28-0. Yeah, it was 28.
Pittsburgh kept trying to make it interesting. And, you'd get your attention again for a few minutes, and then Cleveland would score again.
It kept me out of Verdansk because when we got into the fourth, like it was 12-point game, I think, at one point. Then you had like the old, do they go for two? And then
12-point game when Pittsburgh had the ball, and then there was that fourth and one.
4th and 1 at their own 46, and they punted.
That?
And like that's when I was like, you can't do that.
How in the world do you give the ball back to Cleveland, who's just running up and down the field, in that situation? I can't make any sense of it whatsoever.
There's a bot on Twitter. I forget what it's called. It's like the cowardly punt bot, and every time a team punts, it ranks.
It's got an algorithm.
Yeah, it's an algorithm that ranks how cowardly that punt is. And that one last night was like in the 99.9 percentile of cowardly punts. Just inexplicable on 4th and 1 to punt there, down 2 scores.
Yeah, that's bad. That's brutal. Tomlin's pretty well regarded. He's a Hall of Fame coach, but that, I don't know. You hate to see that.
Really bizarre.
Bad year.
I did see a tweet this week about how Mike Vrabel punted at one point. I shared this with the squad in a cowardly fashion. His was like a 96% cowardly punt. And someone tweeted, Mike Vrabel is willing to cut off his penis to win a Super Bowl, but won't go for 4th and 2 on the Ravens 40. Which, that's
Great
funny
point.
to me. It's the @surrender_index, by the way.
Got any Baker takes, Dylan?
Really good season, really good playoff game. He's a playoff winner now, which is really unfortunate to see.
You hate to see it?
He runs into Kansas City next week, though. Am I right? Or this week?
This week, yes.
And so hopefully,
Battle of Texas Tech.
the universe will correct itself this week and put Baker back in his place, which is the L column. I'm sick of him playing well.
Last time I checked, he was 1-0 against Pat Mahomes in college.
That doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh, are we gonna have to see highlights from that damn game all week long?
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, it was a sick game.
Dude, it's so weird.
Of course,
Pat
but
Mahomes
like
in
every
college,
time they play,
I never feared playing Pat Mahomes-led Texas Tech team. It was strange.
Because he was running around with like a leg brace and a shoulder brace on because he had no line, but he would just throw it 65 yards down the field.
But they didn't win a bunch of games. He didn't put up huge numbers.
No, it's a glaring indictment on Cliff that Cliff literally had the modern-day GOAT. And
he's my favorite player to watch. Right behind him is Aaron Donald. There's just
he had Pat Mahomes, but nobody knew Pat Mahomes was Pat Mahomes. Sounds stupid to say, but you couldn't recruit players based on having Pat Mahomes at that point in time. Like he wasn't a sellable like quarterback as far as a skill set. And Texas Tech will never shake this legacy of like if you get a good productive quarterback, they're going to say it's the system or whatever, and you're not going to get the credit you need to be like, we need a left tackle to come play in front of this quarterback. And you'll be like, they just think it's not what goes on there.
that was kind of the deal with Texas Tech quarterbacks in general. I mean, they had the Mike Leach offense, and even like since Mike Leach, they had just the air raid. They just throw it around, and these quarterbacks would put up these huge numbers, but never really get looks from NFL teams.
B.J. Simmons
Until Mahomes. So he got it was weird. They had like this weird stigma about them. Like, don't trust their numbers because it's just a system. And then, of course, Mahomes.
I think part of it was that the NFL hadn't broken their system to get more like college like they are now. I think things would have looked different for some of those quarterbacks had they, the NFL looked like it does now where they could throw more. Fucking Big Ben. Roethlisberger threw the ball 68 times yesterday. 68. Like, that's ridiculous. Granted, yes, you were losing the entire game. You had to throw the ball around, but for him to be throwing the ball 70 times in a game is just ridiculous.
Yep.
is he back next year?
See, that's what I was going to ask earlier. So we've got Drew Brees, so we all pretty sure he's going to retire at the end of this playoff run. You've got Roethlisberger, and then you've got Rivers. Like, are we about to see all three of them just exit stage left and
I think Big Ben comes back for one more year because he is guaranteed $41 million for that season.
Are you saying he has 41 million reasons why he's going to come back?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I think Big Ben is the kind of guy who would take this is my last year victory tour kind of thing. Not that anybody would give him awards because he's a general creep.
Like a D-Wade type deal?
Yeah, to make a big show of it, which I'm not whatever. I probably would do the same thing, truthfully, but I admire people that don't do that. But
Shout out
I feel
41.
like that's what Big Ben's going to do. He's going to soak up the adulation for one more year. The other two guys, I mean, Rivers is cooked, and Drew Brees, all signs throughout the broadcast, they kept saying that all signs point to him being his last run. So, but yeah,
Including
I
the
mean,
fact
the
that he
Steelers
thinks he
have
already
some
signed a deal with
issues.
NBC.
Yes, he's still set up for the NBC gig, I guess. But the Steelers have some issues moving into the next season, and some cap issues and some other things. That's a team that started 11-0 and really fell apart down the stretch. We'll see what they do.
Tell me about this age thing. This is blowing me away.
Yeah, the AFC quarterbacks that are still in the playoffs are now 25, 25, 24, and 24, and Baker is the oldest of them.
Wow.
Meanwhile, on the NFC side, you have quarterbacks who are 42, 43, 37, and 26.
Who's left in the NFC quarterback wise? So we have what? Obviously Brady, Breeze. Who's 37?
Rodgers.
And Goff.
Oh shit, he's 37.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Rodgers is only 37.
And then 26 is
Goff?
Goff,
It's
yeah.
escaping me.
But it's
Goff.
also scary to think that if you're an AFC team, back to when we talked about which job would you prefer,
Yeah.
those four quarterbacks are. I mean, quarterbacks are playing into their 40s and playing well. Tom Brady is
Justin
playing well.
Herbert.
To imagine that you're going to have to play 15 more years against Pat Mahomes, that's a really horrifying thought.
And you've got Herbert, Lawrence coming in, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to project Lawrence to be one of those guys, but like you're going to have young talent for years to come. Tua's, I mean, we don't think Tua's one of them, but you know, this Joe Brady shit. Can I soapbox for a second real quick?
Please.
We are going out of our way to make sure Joe Brady is like the fucking Sean McVay of football. I think Joe Brady is very good, very talented, but like we're to the point where people under Joe Brady are getting hired to take OC spots. Like 6 years ago, the guy was a GA, and now we're saying like he's built a coaching tree that needs to be picked from. Like, let's tap the brakes a little bit. Like, he's done exceptional things the 1 year that he was the assistant offensive coordinator and passing game coordinator for LSU, who also Joe Burrow put him in one of those young quarterbacks you're going to have to play for years to come. Like, we know he had a supremely talented quarterback and exceptional wide receivers, as we talked about earlier. He did really well in Carolina this year. Nothing like off the charts, but he weathered the storm without having Christian McCaffrey, without having a starting quarterback for part of the year. But now he's a head coach 6 years after being a GA. Like, okay. As long as it's not in Jacksonville, I'll see it. I'll believe when I see it.
I agree with all that.
His role in Carolina, he's a OC currently?
Correct.
Okay.
He had given the fact that they dealt with McCaffrey played like 4 or 5 games all year. He had a fine year. Like Bridgewater was
Agreed.
his quarterback. It was okay. But I completely co-sign what KJ said.
This is like when they were trying to give Kellen Moore a head coaching job last year when people were talking about that, or like at least Chris Richard, and this is bringing it back to the Cowboys. Like Chris Richard had been basically the acting defensive coordinator for a top 10 defense for like 2 or 3 years before he began to get interviews. If what I'm seeing is true, where the Texans, I think we'll talk about it a little bit later. We'll save it, but the Texans are going to fuck around and apparently not even hire Eric Bieniemy, who Watson wanted them to hire. And now there's reports of, well, everybody thought he was going to get that job, so Eric Bieniemy is not going to have a spot. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The top offense in the NFL 2 years in a row, like nobody's going to go out of their way to hire him as their head coach. Like if they fuck around and Eric Bieniemy doesn't take a head coaching job, like, and it's not his choice, like NFL's got some problems.
Well,
But again,
apparently
we'll
he
take
wasn't.
Urban
The
Meyer.
Texans didn't even interview him.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But for some reason, that was the team that like Watson wanted Bieniemy, and it sounded like that was where most people projected him to go. I don't know what that means, though.
Also saw that the Texans, they went against the recommendations of their executive search firm that they used, their recruiting company that they had to bring in to find a coach or a GM.
A GM, yeah.
GM, yeah.
Love it.
Who is making what is the kickback there? Like,
That's
there's
the dream.
something
I just want to be a part of one of these committees that gets paid six figures to name,
It's
in
fun.
college, it makes a little bit more sense, although it's cowardly. I think we've discussed it here. But, if you're the athletic director, you hire a search firm, and then if you make a bad hire, you blame the search firm. If you own the fucking team, do whatever you want. Don't hire a search firm and then hire somebody else. It's just weird. The whole thing is so weird. Texans are a
It is
nightmare.
the shoe in the way to get your Rooney Rule satisfied, so we'll see. The fact that Doug Peterson's out, I don't even know if I have time mentally to process this yet, but that's just, I guess it's not far-fetched, but shit. Philly, what are you doing? Are you looking at your division and saying, I guess we can catch up? If we're ever going to be bad now?
I'm wondering how much of this has to do with that last game. That Jalen Hurts and just how he handled the Wentz and Hurts stuff. Because they're in a horrible spot right now. Because Jalen Hurts had 2 good games and then 2 not good games, right? And they don't too small of a sample size to know. And Wentz is owed what, $36 million? It's a disaster. You talk about the Texans being a disaster. Philadelphia, dude, I don't know what's going on there.
What's going to happen?
I think
Wentz?
that's
They going to move him?
who, Wentz?
Yeah.
I think you move him, you eat the money, you try to ride with Jalen and a backup, like a Kyle Allen type backup, that if Jalen just shits the bed, that you have somebody capable, but you're basically tanking without tanking, or you get lucky and Jalen hits.
Do you think somebody's going to trade up in the draft to snag Fields? I'm thinking about some of these teams, and I don't know what kind of draft capital they might have, but to go after a Wilson or a Fields, at the 7th spot or 8th spot, one of these teams like the Colts or Philadelphia.
It's going to have to be a top 5. The projection that CBS put out earlier, I would yell at whoever wrote that article more than Micah. In no fucking planet are teams going to allow 3 wide receivers to go back to back. And they may have just been saying top prospect in those slots, but you're going to get quarterbacks who are drafted at a slot relative to the value of a quarterback. So nobody's trading up at 22 to get a quarterback unless it's a team that just didn't plan to in this draft, or anywhere between 10 and 20. You're going to get Trey Lance at 12 to 15 probably out of North Dakota State. Everybody else that we've talked about quarterback wise is going to go before 11 at the latest. And that's just because that's where quarterbacks are valued. It's not worth waiting if you need one. So who that is that makes that move, I don't know. It's not going to be Philly, and it's definitely not going to be the Texans. They don't have the capital to do it.
Great point.
Dolphins can. They've got multiple picks.
We don't even need to talk about Dan Quinn. I don't want to kill my vibe.
Okay.
I was super wild hard all weekend.
Just for those who don't know, Dan Quinn is now being interviewed to be the defense coordinator for the Cowboys, and I would classify that as a not exciting choice. We won't talk about it, but he likes to run a 4-3. The Cowboys have been running a 3-4 for years. Cowboys, it just seems totally inexplicable.
Let's go.
But I don't know if you heard. We them boys.
We them boys.
Always done, boys.
You guys want to do some quick dips?
Let's do some quickies.
I'm going to start by eulogizing the Duncanville Panthers. Their road to state ended in the semifinals. They lost to perennial powerhouse South Lake Carroll, home of the Dragons and the bleach blonde hair, the originators of the bleach blonde hair. I got to give it to them. That look has weirdly made its way back, and it's down here, and now the Westlake kids are doing it. Very strange. That's who they will face, by the way. Austin Westlake, you might know them. Nick Foles.
Drew Brees.
Sam Ellinger. Drew Brees. Probably some other guys.
We're a quarterback city.
It's a quarterback city. And
the stadium sits about 3/4 of a mile from where we're sitting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good stadium.
It's a father-son matchup, of course.
They're calling it the Dodge Bowl. Some people were calling it the Trust Fund Bowl, not me. But I just saw some people calling it that. But yeah, the Dodge Bowl, you got Riley Dodge, coach of Southlake, who actually didn't get to coach the semifinal due to COVID, versus his dad, Todd Dodge. If you're in Texas, you know the Dodge family. I think Riley had a stint as the UNT coach. Didn't really end
Todd
well.
did.
Was it Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Todd. He coached Riley at UNT.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Very confusing. But yeah, man.
And he was formerly the coach at Southlake.
I was worried about the Southlake game. Everybody was way too confident in Duncanville just because of what they've been the last couple years. But, like, the last 2 years they had a guy that we've talked about a lot just because of me shoehorning it in is Jaquindon Jackson, who's like as far as high school players go, like, you're not going to get any better. Their quarterback this year was a transfer. He's like a 3-star. He was fine, but he's not Jaquindon. Jaquindon's like a playmaker, can do it, can throw it and run it. And, they didn't have that this year. And Southlake is a well-oiled machine, man. They just I don't know. They got Quinn Ewers, who's actually, if you're an Ohio State fan, you should be very excited. A junior who's decommitted from Texas.
We'll see what Sark can do.
We'll see if Sark can get him back.
See about it.
After the game, they showed him talking to Kendrick Blackshear, who's the Duncanville linebacker. You might have seen. He's like a meme now.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking. He's headed to Alabama, and he threw up he was doing the Ohio thing.
Oh,
the
you hate
OH.
to see that.
Yeah.
You hate to see that.
So it looks like he's pretty set on it. But who knows? He didn't even have that good of a game. I mean, he had some sick throws where you're like, wow, this kid's awesome. But, like, he didn't beat them. The Panthers, they dropped everybody back into coverage, and then Southlake just ran the ball all over him, which you don't really see. But
it was embarrassing not embarrassing like they got beat, but Southlake's running back might be 5'9", 5'10", 180 pounds. Did not have the frame, the look, or the size of a running back that would put up 200 yards damn near on the Duncanville defense. And I don't know what his final stat line was, but every time they needed a third down, every time they needed to pick up yardage, this kid just couldn't be brought down. And it was bad.
Dude, he looked like Jonathan Gray out there.
Ooh. Fair.
Remember Jay Gray?
I'm going to watch the state title game, but it was definitely a clash of different classes when it comes to where these schools are at and what type of demographics, the makeup of both teams in the semis. Because Westlake beat North Shore, which is in the Houston suburb of Galena Park. I don't know if it's low income, but it's a rough school and predominantly Black and Hispanic school. Westlake, complete opposite. Probably one of the more wealthy outside of Highland Park's districts in the state. Southlake being maybe number 3. So it's going to be interesting to see this game play out. It's going to be fireworks, but no part of me is going to be watching with any kind of feelings hurt if one of these teams loses and you get kids crying, which is always a part of it in high school football.
I got to give a shout out to the Dragons, though. After the game, there's some video going around of them being very, very gracious to the Duncanville players. And last year when Duncanville knocked them out in the semifinal, you saw the same thing. So it was cool to see them, getting along, being gracious. It probably helps that most of the guys on the field there are all going to play ball at the next level, so it's not like this is the end. It's completely different than when you have just some spare 2A team who made it far, and all those guys are going to have to, maybe they're going to go play AA ball or something.
Leads on the sideline.
Yeah.
Speaking of Westlake, Dave, did you know that there's a TV show called A Teacher?
Yes.
Are you familiar with this? The fiance told me about this last night. That
loosely based on a noted scandal.
Yes, and the high school in question has a blue W as their logo,
Westbrook, I believe it is,
and it's supposed to be based in Austin. Are you, as
your
wife teaches in this school district?
We watched a little bit of it, and when I first moved here, there was a pretty juicy teacher-student sex scandal.
Is it bad that I know all the details of the story of the actual news story and I haven't watched any of the show?
It's not a good show.
Been on family trips and all that shit.
Yeah, it was a weird deal. But yeah, that show's very uncomfortable. If gratuitous sex scenes and just unbearable levels of horniness make you uncomfortable, then this is not your show. I did not think we'd be talking about A Teacher today, but I'm glad you brought it up.
On the rundown.
Can I talk Texas basketball real quick?
Let's talk Texas basketball.
I actually watched this whole game. Missed some of the afternoon NFL game because of it, actually. So Texas ranked 4th. We're Texas basketball school now, by the way. But Andrew Jones, kind of a feel-good story of the year. 3 years to the day, I believe, after his cancer diagnosis, leukemia to be exact. He hits a game winner to beat West Virginia on the road. He hit a 3 from the corner as time expired. Really cool story. Texas is kind of legit. Great guard play. Got a couple bigs who down there just banging around too. It's a fun team to watch, man. Shaka with the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot it.
New year, new
I
Shaka.
almost said his name wrong. Yeah, kind of a fun team to watch. But yeah, Andrew Jones, keep an eye on him. It's a fun story to follow.
Big 12 is dirty.
Yeah,
Very
man, they got like
stacked.
3 teams inside the top 10
It'll be a fun time when Baylor and Texas finally get it right and play each other. I think they had to cancel at least one time due to COVID, but that's going to be fun because Baylor's still number 2 undefeated unless I missed something during Super Wild Card weekend. But yeah, we already talked about Deshaun. We don't need to go back. Oh yeah, dude, Dez had 0 catches yesterday, but the Dez catch 6 years ago today.
Didn't Dez pick up a penalty
Yes, he
yesterday,
did.
though?
A rather bad one.
Yeah. 6 years ago, he caught it, though.
Oh, hey, Dez still has a shot at a ring. Nothing would make me happier if somehow the Ravens mess around and make it to the Super Bowl.
I will be throwing up the X if that happens. Hey, Bill Belichick getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Donald J. Trump, Micah.
Yes, this has been reported by Politico.
This is on the heels of Gary Player getting said award.
Yes, Annika Sorensen.
Sorensen.
Right? Yes. And Babe Zakarian. Is that right?
Babe Laufenberg, I think.
It
No,
wasn't.
I don't know.
Yeah. You can't accept this award right now. I'm sorry. I know people are going to be mad. Can't do this. You can't do a photo op with the president.
Why?
5 days.
Maybe
after
he
what
wants
happened.
to talk about him. We'll talk with him about some defense strategies for the Capitol grounds.
Okay.
No, I just can't do it. I'm sorry.
Dude, respect the office, Micah.
You know what? Just can't do it.
Is this Joaquin?
Yes.
Joaquin Neiman. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, eating lunch before losing a playoff in Hawaii. Kapalua.
Okay, I heard about this, but I didn't see it. Can someone explain to me what happened?
So Harris English, Joaquin Neiman went off yesterday, went real low. I watched the playoff hole. That's it. But he went low. Harris English had to birdie to win 18. And, when a lot of times when guys know that there's a good chance of a playoff, they go to the range, maybe get something to eat. He chose the latter and did not go to the range, ended up losing the playoff. I guess people were making a big deal saying that, they're connected. He should have been out there banging balls, staying warm. He piped his drive on 18, and he just left it in a bad spot on his second shot. I don't know.
Was he eating dinner or having food with a woman, with his partner or something?
I don't think so.
I thought he was getting some flack for this.
Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't see
it wasn't
that.
just like him crushing a power bar sitting down somewhere. Like he was seated at a restaurant
They went to,
with
Cheesecake
his lady.
Factory.
Napkin tucked in his
They
shirt.
hit cheesecake.
Okay. And Harris English ends up winning. Whatever. Big story from that tournament is Justin Thomas having to apologize for calling himself the British cigarette word while missing a putt. I don't know if y'all saw that. It was overshadowed by everything else going on. But
Lucky for him.
Lucky for him. But
That's a tough scene.
It was tough. You got to hot mics. Can't call yourself that word.
Which is something the professional athletes aren't quite used to this year.
It's true.
The
cloudless
It's
hot
new.
mic.
Yeah, it's kind of a new thing.
I usually just call myself old timey words that my dad would say. I'll call myself if I hit a bad shot, I'll call myself a coward or a scallywag.
You don't do that.
A real.
I call myself a douchebag a lot on the course.
That is
true.
true.
If I miss a 4-footer, I'll just eat douchebag.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
The 2022 PGA is leaving Trump National. Micah,
Well, why are you calling on me?
I'm just saying. I'm yielding my time to you.
The Trump organization put out a very angry statement yesterday, and it made me laugh.
Where's it going? Shoal Creek?
It doesn't matter anywhere but there.
Okay. I think they should do it at Lions.
Sure.
He's tweeting about it.
Mavs game postponed tonight due to COVID.
Things are looking shaky. It's a little surprising, I have to say, not to make it a whole COVID statement, but the NFL, on relative to what's going on with the NBA and for college basketball, you've got a much smaller roster to deal with in basketball than you do in the NFL. In the NFL, while they've had some outbreaks, of an 80-man roster, you might have situations where the worst case scenario was 20 players in Baltimore. You're having like 4 or 5 players on a 15-man roster get popped on some of these basketball teams, and it just doesn't add up to me. So hopefully they figure it out.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I would just say go 2 short bubble seasons and, or tournaments. There's no reason to try to make this the real deal, but
I've read that the logistics of trying to do another bubble with all the teams, that somebody tweeted that they've talked to GMs and like you'd have entire teams opting out.
Yep, I believe it.
Which I guess that makes sense.
I just don't think you need 60 games in a playoff in a bubble. I think you need to have like AAU style tournaments in bubbles and then just figure it out. Just put a product out there for us to consume. That's all you need.
Completely agree. Micah, would you like to run it back?
Sure.
Let's run it back.
It's time for Run It Back, the segment in which we talk about what we've already talked about. Micah refused to share his skincare regimen with the audience. He also had John Duda on Mind of Micah, and you can subscribe to both his newsletter and Micah's Read of the Week. Breaking news from Brett: Doug Peterson was out as the coach of the Eagles. KJ called out Micah for saying Jalen Waddle is better than Devontae Smith. Dylan is on Ohio State because of the Dimmy. I forget the joke that you made there, but that was something that was said. Bama has a chance to be the most dominant national champion since Navy in 1951, this according to Dave. Dylan wants to pair his shacket with the Grizz from movement.com/bang.
Thank you.
Stingers hurt like a bitch, this also according to Dylan. Wine 'em, dine 'em, 60 Hynum.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people have been saying that.
Shouts to Little Lumpkin. Romo wins the JTT Just the Tip Award for his subtle sexual innuendo this week. The Steelers kept Dave out of Verdansk. Am I saying that right?
You nailed it.
Okay. We hate Dan Quinn, but we still them boys. If incredible numbers of sex scenes are unappealing to you, the show A Teacher is not the right show for you. And Dave refers to himself as a scallywag on the course. Dylan refers to himself as a douchebag.
I believe it's scallywag, and he doesn't say either of those. But
I thought it was an educated scallywag is what he was going after.
it's a super smart wag.
A scallywag. That's
All
a good one.
right.
You guys ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
We'll
This
see
was fun.
everybody Thursday. We all
Good
good
one.
for Thursday?
Oh, yeah.
We're good.
Oh, good.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye. Let's go.
Let's go.
I want my chips with the dip. That's all I know. I don't want my chips plain. I want my chips with the dip. So bring them dips.